Since The Walking Dead's gonna be back in a few weeks, I thought I should just make this video looking back on this season, this first half of the season, because a lot of people have been saying that this is the worst season of Walking Dead to ever air, ever. Like, they just forgot about season 2. Sorry, but season 2 will forever hold the crown of the worst season of Walking Dead. Okay, let's just put that out there. Let's just put that to rest. So, like, let's talk about last season, because the cliffhanger, I wasn't on the whole, the cliffhanger is so horrible, blah 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 blah, rebel rebel. It was expected. I knew they would go that route, and it made sense for it to be a cliffhanger. I was cool with it, because I don't think I would have been able to handle seeing whoever got and just leaving it there, and then we just have to deal with it throughout without knowing, without going to the next part. You know what I mean? So that's why I was okay with the cliffhanger and why it was included. And it's not like the first time they did a cliffhanger. Remember the whole Terminus thing? That was a cliffhanger. But yeah, I was cool with it. So the first episode. Rick's dream sequence, man, that really did it for me. Especially seeing Glenn with his baby, just right there. Oh my god, my emotions. That really just fucked with me right there. I mean, I was hiding behind my pillow the whole time watching, because I just couldn't see half of the things that was happening on screen, because it was just so bad. Just like Andrew Lincoln's acting in this was like, I just wanted to give him a blanket, because he just looked so cold, and that look in his eyes was just intense. Give him some type of award for that, because if the game of the bad pussy, you know which one I'm talking about, the bad pussy show can get Emmys and Golden Globes and all this other stuff, yeah, then Walking Dead, give something to Andrew Lincoln, or just any of them, because that was, yeah, that was mad. Now, as for the deaths of the show, I knew that Abraham was going to die, because they gave Denise his comic book death. So it was only a matter of time now for Abraham to go. Like, it made sense. During the break, I kind of worked out that Abraham was going to be the one to bite the dust, or bite the bat. So, yeah, and Glenn. I knew Glenn's time was coming because of the whole fake out death. I didn't want it to happen. I didn't want to believe it, but deep down I knew it was coming, because I played the Telltale games. And that was such a Telltale's move, to have a character to save, and then down the line they get rid of them. Telltale games, like, okay, let's say season 2 of The Walking Dead and Telltale games, you could save Alvin in episode 2, but he will end up dying in episode 3. So it didn't make, yeah, Glenn was marked for death as soon as they put him underneath the skip, the bins and stuff. He was marked for death, but still he did not have to go out the way he did. If he was picked out from the lineup and he had his comic book death lined up exactly the same way, I'll be mad. I'll be upset, but I wouldn't be as upset as I was, because Daryl, Jumpin' Jack Dixon, dirty ass squirrel eating bitch, possum on the back ass bitch. It made much more sense for Daryl to die. Number 1, he's Rick's right hand man. Number 2, his death would have had the shock factor of being a long time character from season 1 being gone all of a sudden. That would have been shock. And number 3, Daryl has become so stagnant over the last few seasons. It's like his storyline keeps getting recycled and recycled. Someone dies, he feels sad about it, then I don't know, like, it happens all the time now. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. Like, it was Sophia, then Merle, then who else? Beth, then Denise, and now Glenn. It's like, no, I'm tired of it. I'm tired. He had to die. I think ever since he slam dunked that grenade into the tank, you knew that this one was just gonna be superhero from day dot. You know what I mean? So yeah. But anyways, the biggest complaint out of 7A that I've seen has been bottle episodes. So let's talk about them.
8 green bottles hanging on the wall. 8 green bottles hanging on the wall. And if one green bottle should accidentally fall, there'll be 7 green bottles hanging on the wall.
I hate bottle episodes. They're wall-to-wall facial expression and emotional nuance. I might as well sit in the corner with a bucket on my head.
The Walking Dead started doing the confined to one location episodes in season 3, episode 3, entitled Walk With Me. It focused on Michonne and Andrea arriving in Woodbury, and we get introduced to all these new characters and the environment through their eyes. Some people think that the bottle episodes have been unnecessary, others don't. You either love them or you hate them, really. It just depends on what you think about them and how well that episode is done. With this season, I think the fandom was very split down the middle of whether they were needed or not, you know? So let's just say episode 1, the premiere episode. It makes sense for that episode to focus entirely on the lineup and everything with Negan and the Saviors and Rick's group and everybody there, because to cut away and see what Carol and Morgan were doing in the Kingdom, or to cut back to Alexandria and whatever the fuck, would have just been so... It would have interrupted the flow of the episode. The intensity and the emotional impact would have been lost. So it made sense for it to be a bottle episode. I don't think too many people argued with that, right? Right. The second episode, The Well. This second episode was needed because we see how Carol is and how she is doing when she decided to desert the group. Like, my like for Carol has dwindled over the past few seasons. Like, I'm so done with her, kind of. I felt that at one point they were focusing a bit too much on her, kind of like Daryl. We didn't get to see too much of the female characters before, but by having Carol show up in just this episode and briefly in episode 8 meant that many of the women on the show got to shine instead. Like, all of the women were proactive in one way or the other, so I was cool. But yeah, as for Carol, man, I don't necessarily think she's marked for death this season. She could be, with the way her head is, and she's seeing things now, and she's all alone and she wants to do lonely girl business. I don't know, but do I think she might end up committing suicide and going the way how she went out in the comics? Probably. No. I don't know. It's really up in the air. Episode 3. This was a Daryl-centered episode, and like I said, we get to see the Saviors through Daryl's eyes and see what Negan and others will do. I didn't care too much about this episode. It focused on Daryl way too much, and you know me, I don't really care for Daryl too much. Like, he's just gonna sleep in a ditch somewhere. Like, I really didn't care about Daryl and what he had to say, what he had to do. Negan and them, I guess it was needed. We had to see who the Saviors are, how they live, how the contrast is between Alexandria and the Kingdom and the Saviors. We had to see all three sides of... What has 3 sides? Oh my days. We had to see all 3 different communities to understand. We just had to see all 3 communities. Shit. This was a 90-minute one. This one, I don't think it needed to be a bottle episode, really, because it was quite long. I feel that, you know, we could have done without it, really. We could have seen what other people were doing, really. It was tension-filled, and, you know, we got really good moments in this episode. I mean, the Rick and Michonne moments together in bed, and then, you know, seeing how... my babies. Seeing how far apart they were. And what else happened in this episode? Yeah, Carl getting Buck and, like, just stepping up to Negan, like, yeah, and what? Carl Grimes, bitch, like what? Man's like Carl out here, yeah. So that was cool. Like, we saw how how the residents of Alexandria were dealing with the aftermath of Glenn and Eugene's death. Like, we saw that, and it was good to see how everyone was coping, because after those 2 episodes, yeah, that took us away from that. It was good to see how they were doing. But still, I don't think it had to just focus on Alexandria. We could have seen other stuff. But, you know, I wasn't too mad about it, because, you know, Rick got to reveal that he knew all along that the baby wasn't his. He didn't need Maury to tell him that Judith wasn't his, because he knew. And he told Michonne. I really thought that Michonne would come and tell him about her child, Andre. And that didn't happen. Maybe it will happen in a few episodes down the line, but, you know, yeah. Gimp will get on that, because I want that to be just as emotional as the Judith reveal was. Go Getters was a good episode. I think it was a solid episode that took us back into the swing of things. It wasn't a buzzhole episode, so I think that's why a lot of people were like happy and breathed a sigh of relief, because finally we got to see how Maggie is, how Sasha is, and how they're dealing with the loss of their loved ones as well. Like, you know, Maggie and Glenn, OTP, like, and then no more. It had a lot of action-packed moments. We get to see how Sasha and Maggie are doing in the Hilltop, and again, you know, we get the contrast of different communities and how each one handles their different things, like how all these 4 players are going to collide in the coming episodes. So Trevor from GTA comes in to the Hilltop, and he's all bossing what's his face around, and this fool can't get anybody's name right. He just, like, Gregory was an asshole, and when Maggie said, "Put some respect on my name," I was like, yes, tell him, Maggie, tell him. Sasha, Jesus, Jesus de Blanco went full on ninja mode, and I was like, I was waiting to see that, you know, because when you see something in the comics and you see it being brought to life, you just have to smile a bit. And like, playing the Walking Dead game as well and seeing Jesus there too, it was like, that was cool. That was cool. Oh yeah, Carl and Enid, like, Carl is such a bad breed, but I'm so happy to see him in the back of the truck, because you knew, comic book fans, we knew what was going to happen in the following episodes. We knew that what was going to happen was going to happen, so it was nice to see him there. Like, I was worried that Daryl would end up taking Carl's place. Like, he would take on Carl's storyline, he would just pinch it, because, yeah. So it was good to see Carl finally stepping into that role and stuff. Also, there was a nice Rick and Michonne kiss. That was good. Obviously, like, I was happy about that. And Carl and Enid, that was sweet. Daryl wasn't in this episode, so that was even a plus. So it was just a good episode all around. It just really, it was different, because I think because it wasn't a buzzhole episode, it was good. It had an A plot and a B plot, different locations, so different things going on. It was good. Now, this episode, swear, this was the infamous bottle episode that people wanted to take this bottle and crack it. Like, people were angry. They wanted to fight people over this episode because they hated it. So many people just like, what the fuck is this? So, Tara and Heath, we finally see what's up with them. They've been on this 2-week-long scavenger hunt, and we finally caught up with them. They don't know anything that's happened. They don't know that Denise is dead, that Abraham is gone, that Glenn is gone. And it was so sad, because there was one line that Tara said that was first rule of scavenging, anything that isn't hidden, there's nothing in the world that isn't hidden, something like that. Like, it was basically what Glenn told her back in season 5, and yeah, that just got me a bit, like, that got me choked up a bit, like, oh, she doesn't even know, oh my gosh. So yeah, so it turns out that during their whole scavenger hunt, Heath and Tara were separated, and Tara drifted ashore to this little island, you know, that's predominantly women, and they don't want to let anybody in or anyone to leave, really, because turns out they were like victims of the Saviors and Negan. And yeah. Now, the major complaint for this episode is that it was centered on Tara, and like Tara's been there since season 5, so people don't see her as a main player. I think if it was anyone else, really, that people wouldn't have been so apprehensive. Like, say if it was Sasha, maybe there wouldn't be as much of a this new girl. Like, she's not even, she's small fry. She's not even like a big player. She's not a comic book character either. Like, say if Rosita was the one who went on this little mini adventure, then maybe people wouldn't have been so apprehensive. But like, Tara was introduced in season 5, part of the governor's whole plot to see what he was doing, and she came on to be the part of the team. And Tara hasn't been given anything major during season 5 all the way up to season 7 for audience to be happy to see her in a standalone episode. Like with Morgan, when Morgan came back, because Morgan is so well loved by the fans, and I love Morgan too, so I wanted to see how he got these new stick fighting abilities. Like, what have you been up to, Morgan? I want to see what you're doing. So when Morgan had his episode, it was like, okay, this is a slow paced episode. It's very different, but it explains how Morgan went from, I need to clear everything, I need to clear, to being like, I'm one with the universe, everything's zen right now, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I just think Tara isn't considered a major player, but this episode was designed to help her be a major player right now. This is supposed to be like Tara's graduation from background character into, what do you call it, major player, like major character, like someone who is with a storyline, you know what I mean? So that's why I think it was done. So I definitely hope it's like the whole island plot line and the community, the beachside community, whatever they call themselves, yeah, I hope that comes into play in the second half. It should, right? It should. There should be some type of payoff, because people were so against it, but it could have a huge payoff. We don't know. Yeah. But when Tara got back, like, finally we get to see her reaction with how to deal with Denise and Heath. Not Heath. Actually, where is Heath? Is he alive or dead? Because we haven't seen him since. So what happened to him? Is he alive? Where is Heath? That's what I want to know. But yeah, I don't know. This episode was weird. It was weird. I didn't hate it as much, but it was kind of like, okay, Tara's the focus. This could be something. And I'm just seeing like this episode should have a payoff in order to get people back on track, because people just see it as a waste of time. Like, oh, this is just dealing with Tara. We could have cut to anybody else. And I do agree with that. We could have seen other people, but whatever. I don't know. People are just treating it like it's a pointless filler episode. But like, if you want to see multiple pointless filler episodes in a zombie show, watch Z Nation season 3. That had a few pointless filler bottle episodes that went nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. So the last 2 episodes, I think the last 2 were the strongest, because now you see where all the slow building and all the tension building is gonna lead up to, you know what I mean? So like, sing me a song. Like, I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this with excitement and apprehension, because just the title alone, and being a comic book reader, you knew what was gonna happen. You knew that Carl and Negan were gonna have their moment, and it was gonna be what it was gonna be. And again, hiding behind my pillow, like this, like scared, because poor Carl. Oh my days, Carl. Sorry, Coral. Hats off. I would take my hat off, but I don't want to. Hats off to Chandler Riggs, because he did that scene good. Like I think I heard I had to like fight to get that scene like kept in, and like for him to do it, and he pulled it off. Like, kudos to you, little man. You did that. Like the tears, like the crying, like people saying, "Oh, Carl's being a little bitch." I'm thinking he's a little child. He's a child still. He's still a teenager. And those tears, he wasn't crying because he was sad or he was scared. He was crying because he was mad. Those were tears of frustration. I've been there, you know, just crying like, I would whip your ass right now. I would fight you right now if people were in my way. Like, I've been there. Been there, like, Carl. You did that. Yes. And the whole episode of him finding out about, Negan finding out about, Judith and everything. It was just really like, it was just mad. It was just mad because like Judith is dead in the comics, right? So none of that stuff happened. So to see like alternate reality, alternate universe take place and everything that's happened now, it's just like I'm still on edge about it. I was just like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Don't let Negan touch the baby, oh god, no, why? The mid-season finale, Heart Still Beating, that was a really good episode too. Everything just coming into... It was like a crescendo. You know, everything was just like, shh, and then, yeah. Crescendo? That's the right one I'm using. Right? It's been a while since music class. But yeah, you see where it's all leading up to, especially with the final scenes of Michonne giving Rick her sermon and telling him that, you know, we need to fight, we need to do this, and then the kissing, and you know they were fucking inside that cell. Like, does Rick still has his handcuffs? Like, if Rick has his handcuffs, then fan fiction. But yeah, and then seeing Team Family all be reunited again, even though I still don't like Daryl, he served his purpose by giving Rick back his gun, so yeah. But like this season, it has been hard, and I see it being weak in certain areas, but this whole half of the season was building up to all out war, you know? It's all building up to all out war. It's all building up to something bigger, and we're going to see it. I really want to see it pay off. So you see like Tara's episode paying off. Maybe the beachside people will end up joining the fight. Who knows? Who knows? They could be... All the sides have... All the chess pieces have been placed. So... Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this next half of the season. From spoilers that I've seen and things that I know from the comics, I think they're going to turn it around. They're going to turn it around. Yeah. Even the whole promotion of Rise Up and seeing how they were in the last scene of the first episode of this season, where they're all on the floor crying and in shock, and then this scene where they're all together walking and strong, and Team Family is back together again. It was good. Like, I'm looking forward to next season. I mean, the second half. I'm looking forward to it. Well, anyways, that's it. Goodbye.